Hi everyone, I am coming on live on my group Intuitive Angel Messages on Facebook. I started this group 3 years ago. It's been quite a journey. It's amazing what can transpire in 3 years. So much. Today I'm coming on live. I just felt a pull. I just felt like I needed to come on and talk about, I see a lot of individuals, struggling right now. And I also can pull from my own resources of experiences that I've had. And I want to talk about suffering and surrendering today. That's what I want to talk about. Hello, hello. So suffering and surrendering, and we're going to talk about it from multiple different angles. We're not just going to go the same routine that maybe some of you have heard. There's going to be different angles that we're going to discuss. And I'm also going to be channeling some guidance from my guardian angel, Agnes. And she wants to step forward and have a word with everyone about this topic. So whether you're watching this live with me now, or whether you're watching it further down the road and it's just something you're catching later on, it makes no mind. Energy, spirit comes in all the same in the moment of now, your now then, or my now. So, so we're going to talk about the different kinds of suffering, the different kinds of stages of suffering. We're just going to briefly touch base on that. And then I'm going to give you some of my insights, my tips and tricks on making things a little easier, if you care to take them or not. And then we're going to talk about, the suffering that we go through when we lose a loved one. Okay, and they cross over the veil, they exit their body. It's their time to go, or, it's just they've left, and what are we going to do about it? So that type of suffering. And I'm going to give you my experiences giving readings and channeling the guidance from your loved ones on how they feel, and the guidance that they've relayed consistently over the past 3 years. Okay, so although we may be suffering here and grieving their loss, I am going to give you the perspective from them and their perspective on the other side. Okay, so that'll help you hopefully understand a different perspective. It's all about different perspectives today. So what I call suffering, my slang terms for suffering, is going through the thick of it, going through the trenches, a muddy trench, enduring. And there's different types of suffering. There's physical suffering, there's mental, emotional, and then there's, what is really important is that we do grieve. We do have those stages of grief when we lose a loved one. And, that type of suffering, losing your loved ones. And some of us have lost our loved ones, or we feel like we've lost our loved ones, but they're actually still here in the physical, here on earth. So there's that form of suffering as well. So, so I'm going to come from the perspective of physical suffering, although, if you think about suffering, there's the physical, there's like emotional or mental, both. And then there's spiritual, right? We have like, I'm not supposed to be here. What am I doing on this rock? I don't want to be here anymore. And I smile and laugh at that because I think we've all kind of had a similar experience where you question what you're doing here. Okay. So I'm going to talk about that too, the spiritual side of things. And I'm going to give you a different perspective on that too. So it's interesting because we say, oh, physical or mental or whatever, but it's interesting how if you have physical suffering, that does affect your mental health. It does affect. And what is transpiring on the planet right now is affecting our mental health too. And so I remember going for a few counseling sessions back in the day because I was suffering from ulcerative colitis. And I was explaining to the counselor, you know, I'm mentally depressed because of this physical condition and being trapped in this body with this physical condition. So one type of suffering can bleed into another, essentially. Just like if you feel depressed or you have some form of mental health and you're feeling like you're suffering, that can also affect your physical because you don't feel like maybe you can get out of the house as readily, so your physical vessel might be affected. Also, maybe you don't feel like eating, you know, the most high vibrational or nutritional foods, also affecting your physical. And when we talk about spiritual type of suffering, or like that deep feeling in your soul, in your being, like, what am I doing here? This is too much for me here on earth. You know, I've always noticed that the souls that are wishing that they weren't here, they're maybe looking up at the sky at night. They know that they're not from here. They know that this is tough being here. It's tough for them because where they have come from is so vastly different than the frequency here on earth. And so, with that being said, if you do feel like that, that is indicating to you that you are not from here. Okay? If you've had a lot of Pleiadian lifetimes, I think it's just an easier transition to Earth. It's easier, okay? And if you've had lifetimes that are in completely different vessels, maybe physical or non-physical, and energetically way different, and then you come to Earth, and it's in a three-dimensional reality, it can be tough. It can be hard. But this is where I want to give you a different perspective, okay? We can wallow in what is in the trenches, and we do that for a time. And then what? Then where do we go from there? Because if we let that carry on for years upon years upon years, who is that affecting? And what is that doing for you? I often will say, how's that working out for you? How's that serving you? How's that working out for you? Are you happy with that? Because at that point, at that juncture, you need to decide, okay, I'm ready for a change. I'm ready to shift out of this. Or you're happy exactly where you are. Possibly you're getting some attention for being where you are. People feel sorry for you. They pay you more attention. You get more help from other people. And you're completely okay with where you are. And some people would say, well, my mental health isn't good, so this is why I am where I am. Right? So it's an easy drop off to drop into lower vibrational frequency here. That's easy. Any one of us are doing that here on Earth. That's the easy path. But the conscious observer of your situation, bringing in the consciousness, is a conscious effort every day to lift yourself and raise yourself upward. And of course, you guys know I'll always recommend asking your team of angels. And if you don't want to ask them, you know, ask a loved one that's crossed over, or ask your spirit guide, or ask an archangel that you feel drawn towards. Whoever. Ask for help to help lift and raise you upward, to help you move or just shift into a better feeling place. Or even if you don't feel like you can get to a better feeling place, just shifting your attention off of what is. And if you can just do that, even just multiple times a day, ever so briefly, you'll slowly, gradually shift. And you won't necessarily maybe move up into the sky, but you're just going to shift upward just a bit and just ever so slightly moving into a better feeling place. You might have a good day out of the week instead of all 7 days sucking, right? But it takes a conscious effort to want it. And I remember suffering like really intensively for 2 years. And I had lots of energy back then. I kept banging my head against the wall. And I kept crying, kept suffering. And my physical condition wasn't getting better no matter what I was trying. And I was still new to this. I still couldn't figure out how to get myself out of it. But something deep inside me said, keep trying. You will shift out of this. And at the 2-year mark, I'm like, well, this isn't really working out for me. And it's kind of sucking. And I'm really not enjoying this journey. I'm not enjoying this path. I'm not enjoying this suffering anymore. This isn't working for me. Because on some level, in my unconsciousness, I was okay with the suffering. I was okay with continuing onward. But nothing like suffering to bring about more consciousness, more awareness, if you want it to. And suffering plays a role. It plays a part. And there are beautiful things about it. Now, you might disagree with me. You might say, absolutely not. I don't see anything beautiful or wonderful about this whatsoever. So that would be some homework for you to hang back and observe the things that have changed in your life for the better because of the suffering. And what are you grateful for in your life because of the suffering? And start making a list. It could be just the smallest of simplest of things. My diet has changed. I do feel physically a little bit better from my diet change. It could be something so simple. So after 2 years of just banging my head against the wall, I thought, okay, well, I can't be tied to my physical suffering. I'm going to have to shift my mindset out of this because I can't be there anymore. It's too tiring. It's too exhausting. It's too draining. And so that's the shift that started to take place at the 2-year mark. And that was well after my angel came and visited me and showcased her presence with me. And, oh, absolutely. Ascension symptoms are absolutely a part of growth and expansion and evolving, moving upward in vibrational frequency. It's assistance from a high vibrational frequency that is assisting us to shed the layers, transmute the heaviness, and move into better feeling places. Although when we're shifting, we have ascension symptoms. But I've always taught you guys on my YouTube channel that how to help yourselves with ascension symptoms, right? And I've put my links just above this video, and I'll put them just below through YouTube so you can check out how to help yourselves with ascension symptoms. You don't have to suffer with them. Everyone has angels. I've never met someone who doesn't. And they go everywhere you go. Everywhere. Except the toilet. They're just hanging out in the hall, okay? Or private moments. They don't care about those kinds of times, right? They're just in the next room. They're not hanging out in the room with you. I've had visitations from souls when I'm sleeping. I was in a hotel with a boyfriend at the time, and his dad came traipsing right in the room, walked right through the door, and he was just at the foot of the bed. And I was like, what? this is kind of like, we were sleeping, but I'm not really okay with you coming on in here. And my boyfriend at the time was sleeping, but he started kicking his legs out, like he was kicking an energy away from him, because it was his dad at the end of the bed, and we were like awkward. And I remember saying, maybe right now is not the best time. You don't have to say it out loud if you don't want to. I said it in my mind. He heard me. And so he had a chat with me telepathically, and then he left. And so I passed along the message to his son the next day. But yeah, souls might pop in like that. But then you have to hold your boundaries. You tell them what's what. There's the door. See ya. I'll chat with you later when I'm awake and I'm not in bed sleeping. So if you guys are just joining now, you'll want to watch this back from the beginning. I want to talk about suffering from the vantage point of losing a loved one, okay? I've never had a soul come to me and say, man, I'm so glad they're all suffering and mourning and grieving my loss. I hope it goes on for the rest of their lives. I've never had a soul say that. If anything, they come through trying to help us heal from their loss. Now, we need to grieve. So important to shed those layers and that grief, right? But then what? I remember my grandfather came to me. He was in my living room, and he said that his wife, my Nana, was going to pass over the next day. And he was just letting me know what was going to happen. And he said, Kristen, I want you to grieve for about a month. But then I don't want you to carry on any longer than that, because she's going to come and join me in the most magnificent, wonderful place. And I don't want you to continue grieving on past a month. Okay? I said, okay, Grandpa. I'll keep that in mind, and I'll aim for a month. But some of us carry on for years and years. We're just backpedaling in the mud, in the trenches. We're just swimming in it. And so who are we hurting by doing that? We're hurting ourselves. And we're probably really sinking the frequency of those around us too. It's a domino effect, isn't it? So the next day she passed away. And they were both there with me the next day, hanging out with me for a time. They both came behind me and they both put a hand on my shoulder and they had a chat with me. And so souls, when they cross over, they don't want us to grieve forever. That sinks our frequency. It sinks all the people's frequency around us. They're so readily, easily available to chat with you guys, okay? If you're just going through your day and all of a sudden that loved one pops into your mind and you're thinking about them, maybe when you're driving your car or you're in your living room or whatever, that tells me right there, because I've heard them tell me this, that they are there with you. They've just projected themselves into your mind, okay? I'm here, and all of a sudden you're thinking about them. So take that as a cue that they are with you right in that moment. And if you ever want to talk to them or call them in, they will come immediately. It doesn't take the blink of an eye, not even the blink of an eye, for them to come and hang out with you. If they really can't hang out with you because they're in a rest chamber, or maybe they're in a classroom setting and they just can't come at that time, their angel comes, has a time with you, relays all that you'd like to say to them, and gives the message to them when they're ready, okay? So every single time you mentally or out loud or write it down to that loved one, they get that message. I haven't seen a loved one not get a message. Never. So it's really important to remember that your loved ones don't want you to grieve and suffer years upon years down the road. They don't want that. Straight up. I've heard it too many times from so many different souls. So suffering, we can take the easy path and drop off the deep end. That's easy. We're all doing that here on earth. That's the easy path. It's just second nature to us because that's what we've been like taught to do from an early age. Nobody's teaching us how to handle suffering through life, are they? Nobody teaches you that in school. They don't teach you self-care. They don't teach you self-love. So it's us. We have to teach ourselves this. But it takes a conscious effort. And for some of us, that might be every second of every day to lift yourself up out of the trenches, even just for a brief moment. And for some of us, it's easier. And depending on how much of your soul's energy you've brought into this lifetime, because if you've brought more of if your soul chose to bring more of its energy into this lifetime, it might be easier to get up out of the trenches of suffering. And if you've brought a little less, maybe your soul felt like it just didn't need as much in this lifetime and you'd be all right. But you can always call on your divine team to come and help you. And watch them as they come on in. They're waiting for it. They can't wait. Every time you complain to them, whinging, whining, complaining, this sucks, I don't want to be here, whatever it is, they love it. Love it. You know why they love it? Because they're suctioning it from you and they're transmuting it into the light. The more you give them, the more they're bringing it into the light. And then what will happen over weeks of doing this is you'll find that that thing just isn't bothering you anymore. You're just not having those same repetitive, depressing thoughts anymore. So hand off the depressing thoughts. Hand off all the complaining, all the woes. Oh, woe is me, and all of it. The pity party for one. All the woulda, coulda, shouldas. I would have done that if. I could have done that if. I should have done that if. Okay, that's your mind being stuck in what you coulda, woulda, shoulda done in the past. Give it. Shovel it on out and just keep on giving it. And the more you have something repetitive on your mind or your thoughts or your emotions that's sinking your frequency, that just tells you one thing and one thing only. It's time to hand it off. And they're waiting for it. They can't wait. My angel doesn't care if I complain to her. She doesn't care if I swear. She doesn't care if I go on and on. Well, if I go on and on, she does care then. Then she'll step in and redirect me, okay? But she's waiting for it. And she can't wait. She's like, yeah, give it to me. I'll transmute it into the light. Okay? And I want everyone globally to make a conscious effort to redirect your attention from the things that are dropping your frequency. If you're diving in off the deep end in the chaos, you're going to create more chaos within you. If you're focusing on the lower vibrational aspects of what is transpiring on the globe, you're giving your energy, your focus, your attention to that, and you're actually giving it energy to keep going. If you continuously focus on the lower vibrational aspects of your own reality, your own life, you're giving more attention and focus to it, creating more of the same, similar or like that frequency. Once you start to realize that you're delving into this through energy and frequency and vibrational alignment, it's so easy to shift more into alignment over time. It's practice. Move into alignment. So, but it's in our hands. Nobody else can do it for us. It's just us. Me, myself, and I. I'm the one that runs this show. I can't blame somebody else. I can't point the finger over here or over there. It's me. I'm not going to be in a pity party. I'm not going to be a victim. Okay? It's me. I'm in charge of my own vibrational frequency, irregardless of how others are around me or the decisions and choices that they make. Me. That's who is in charge. All right, I am now ready to channel a message from my guardian angel, and then I'm going to take some of your questions, okay? She says that I really needed to get this up and off my chest and talk about this topic. Not only because I've been through the trenches many times before, because I'm seeing many people, okay, not each of you, but many of you going through the trenches yourselves, globally. So that sparks a desire within me to step forward and talk about my own experiences on how to not wallow in the trenches, even when you're going through it, and how to consciously shift your attention, your awareness, your energy in a different direction, even if for a small amount, okay? She says that I'm correct in that it is in our hands. It is our decision, our choice as to where we go moving forward. We may make excuses. We may point the finger at others. We may point the finger at our circumstances, where we live, the job in which we have, the people that we surround ourselves. But when your vibrational frequency starts to shift and raise upward, everything outside of you will start to shift gradually, surely, but gradually as well. So she wants you to remember these words. You are in charge of your vibrational frequency by way of your thoughts, your emotions, and the conscious of being the conscious observer of each of these, being aware of what is, and making a conscious decision, preferably to work with your divine teams to assist you, to help you, to guide you. She's not saying that this is going to change things overnight. It's a gradual process for some of you. She's pointing at me and she says, for some of us, we move a little faster. Yeah, I like to move faster because if I don't feel good in a situation or, with health issues I've had in the past, I do something about it. I want to feel good. Is a conscious choice. And she says that's because of my Pleiadian lifetimes and my soul. My soul wanting this. My soul has a great desire for happiness and joy and freedom and contentment. And it funnels through me readily, she says, bringing this to the forefront. So when I'm not feeling good or I'm not feeling in alignment, my soul is kicking me right in the pants and having me shift and move in a different direction. She says that suffering is a choice. For some of you, and for others, not as much. She says some of us have chosen lifetimes to learn and grow from and to evolve. And also some of the lifetimes that we've chosen that include suffering is also meant to affect others with whom we are incarnating with, and you are then playing a part in their suffering, which is also bringing about growth and expansion, consciousness, bringing forth more light should you choose. She's talking about being in the depths, being in the dark. What is taking place? What is transpiring globally on Earth? The reason why ascension is taking place at this time, and the permeating light frequency here on Earth, is because it's now time to, she's talking about coming out of the darkness, and she's talking about just starting, okay, to turn towards the light. And what does that mean? It means it's going to start within us, right? With ascension symptoms, seeing things in a different way, and then everything that's taking place collectively on the planet right now is making us move in a different direction, isn't it? And so in my lifetime, she's talking about just the turning, just slightly turning, okay? We haven't even fully turned at all, but we're just starting to turn towards the light. For some of you, you'll make it further than others. Some people are okay here in the unawake, unconscious, or being in the depths. They're still okay being there. And she's talking about just allowing them to be there. If or when they're ready to shift, they'll start asking questions. They'll start being curious. They'll start watching material like this. And then they will come. And then they will start to move in this direction, back towards the light, should they wish. But there are many here on Earth that will not be shifting. They won't be walking this path of ascension. Okay? I think it's easier for some people to rise above. And again, like I said before, it will depend on how much of your soul's energy your soul chose to bring forth into this experience. It's going to depend on your starseed origins, because if you've incarnated in vessels that are vastly different, maybe it was much more high vibrational. If it was much more high vibrational, then coming here might be easier. But if it's so vastly different, okay, and then you're here, and here on Earth is a lot of everything's on the surface. It's loud. It's a lot of like visually stimulating stuff we're watching on TV. It's like being, I can talk about being housed in my physical vessel, especially as a female. There are a lot of emotions. Maybe where I was, it wasn't like that. But now I'm feeling all of this, and it's overwhelming just to be here, and overwhelming to be here on Earth in this frequency. I remember having a QHHT session, and we get on the spaceship, and where are we going next? Because I was on a Pleiadian planet. And let me tell you, I was loving it there. It was like a paradise. It was like Hawaii times 10. And then, okay, we're going to go to your next lifetimes, Kristen. Where are we going? Oh God, I'm out I'm out in space. I'm in the spaceship, and I see Earth, and my whole being sinks. And I'm like, no. But that doesn't mean that I'm going to sit here all, I'm here on Earth for the rest of my life. That would be a waste of this experience. Obviously, my soul decided to come here, so now I'm going to come here, and I'm going to figure out why my soul chose to make this trip. And I'm going to keep my own frequency in the midst of the chaos. And that's the trick. And that takes practice. But I'll tell you, during that QHHT session, I was like, no. No, I didn't even want to get off the spaceship. I was like, I'm not getting out. Ah, ah. And here's another thing too. I'm reading Sangeeta's question. When we have a lot that we're carrying on our shoulders and we have a lot that we're processing, or maybe we're not processing it, maybe we're not speaking up all the time, and we stuff it down, what happens? This light that's permeating our vessels right now and the entire planet is going to have to go in there and drum it up to the surface and transmute it for you. So it's going to be so good for you to hand off all the garbo to your team. They love it. It's just going to make it easier for everybody. It's going to make it easier on you. It's going to make it easier for them. It's going to make it easier on your body. Because what happens when we store all and stuff all that garbo down within us? Then the physical body gets affected. Yeah. There is a lot of energy that's taking place right now on Earth, and the main theme is rest. Rest. And this is going to be for the rest of the year. How exciting. Get ready to do what? What? More resting. Ebb and flow. Ebb and flow. We are going to get some respite. We are going to get some breaks. We are going to have this energy just lift up out of us, off of us, so that we can feel a bit more normal again. But right now we're going through it. Oh yeah. So Sangeeta is curious to know why she's tired and exhausted. Some of us are being forced to slow down. So this energy is moving us in the direction of resting and relaxing. And everybody knows an indigo, if you don't listen. Some of us are a little more stubborn than others. So indigos and those who like to work, or they just go, they're the glue that holds it all together, right? If we don't slow down, then this energy is going to lean in a little bit more and make you slow down. Do you want to say anything else? There's nothing physical related here as far as what you're experiencing right now. This is energy. One way we can help with this is grounding outside in nature every single day. Even if you go out and it's 2 minutes up against that tree. The tree's going to help you, the earth's going to help you, and it's going to help to transmute any excess energy from your vessel, from you. But if we don't listen, we don't pay attention, then it's going to lean in on us and make us slow down. I mean, how much more could happen on earth right now to make us slow down? You know, COVID, tumultuous times ahead, and P.S. There's going to be some more stuff coming. So better now to get into alignment, rest and relax, watch your own frequency, hand off all the garbo you don't want anymore in your life, and start transmuting. Help the light transmute for you. Isn't that great, Beth? There's a sign if there ever was one. Isn't that beautiful, Amy? Isn't that beautiful? And that's really what ascension is. If you want to see a lotus flower coming up out of the mud, out of the darkness, and then basking in the sunlight. It's beautiful, isn't it? Tina, if I were to go based on what I've felt of your frequency and what I've seen you posting online, I'm going to absolutely go with a big yes. Tina Pleiadian, yes. You already know that. They just said that. Like you know that. You're just looking for confirmation. All right. I want to talk about karma. I want to talk about what's happened with your past lives, and what Spirit talks about as far as shadow work. Now, if you feel like you need to do shadow work, you may need to do shadow work, okay? But what I hear from Spirit on a regular basis is that they like us to focus on light work. So look at the lighter aspects of your reality. Look at what you're grateful for. Look at the things that you love in your life, and really hone in and focus on that. Because we're so good at focusing on all the negative stuff and complaining about that stuff. If you are, then that's your cue to hand it off to your team. But when you shift your attention and you focus on the light, what happens? What happens when you focus on the light and the lighter aspects of your reality? You create more light. And you're bringing in more light. Ascension's already happening. So that's just going to be a given. And it's going to transmute all the heaviness for you anyways. If anything, rather than focusing on shadow work, the main theme I'm getting here for the last year and a half is hand off all the garbo so they can transmute it for you. And I don't have to sit there and really think about what's, go on and on for days on end. I'm just thinking about what's pissing me off in the moment, or bothering me in the moment, or what's weighing me down in the moment. And give it to them and let them transmute it for you. Okay? So that way you'll start to shift. I think that's the easy route. When you focus on the shadow work and all the dark, heavy stuff within you, now you're giving your attention and your focus and your energy and your power to that, creating more of that frequency. And I remember it was Mary Magdalene that brought my attention to that, about light work. And I trust Mary Magdalene. But I've heard it time and time again from the angels, okay? And as far as karma or the heaviness from any of your other lifetimes, picture every bit of it all coming. All that heaviness is going to come through and get transmuted into the light. Do you want to talk about all that? As far as karma is concerned, and the energy coming through, multiple lifetimes coming through and up and getting transmuted. It says it will be as much as you can handle. So they're not going to give you more than what you can handle. Okay? So as far as transmuting heaviness is concerned, anything that's weighting you down or an issue for you in this lifetime, they're going to focus predominantly on that first to free you now, to get you freed up to feel better, lighter, lifting upward, even if it's just an incremental bits and pieces, if you want to call it that. We don't need to place our attention and our focus onto karma or repaying the karmic debt from other lifetimes. For those of you that are ascending now, or for those of you that are choosing the path of ascension by simply saying, yes, I'd like this. I would like this. Yes, please. Okay. You can do that. That's your free will choosing. You can say, yes, I would like to walk this. I want to go on this path of ascension. All is getting transmuted. So it's not just what's transpired in this lifetime, but all your lifetimes. So we don't need to place our attention or our focus onto karma or repaying karma or karmic debt. Is unnecessary. Okay? All right, everybody. I must be on my way. I thoroughly enjoyed this moment with each of you. Don't be thinking I'm perfect. I'm still a work in progress, too. I think we all will be throughout this lifetime, and we're all going to be practicing repeatedly. But when you move out of alignment and stuff doesn't feel good, now you know what to do about it. Love you guys. Bye.